Hey guys, Wolf of Dimensions coming back at you with the review for The Mummy, which came out in theaters worldwide today, which I went to go see it. Now, this is the Dark Universe, I think is what it's called. Universal's redoing all their monsters. Now, I get that Hollywood's running out of ideas. that's we all know it. But I think that the Universal classic should be brought back. That's something I can agree with because it's hard to get a younger audience to watch something that classic and enjoy it. It really is. So when you add something like this, and like Dracula Untold, I think Dracula Untold was really good. You make the premise for a new opportunity, like the Dark Universe. To be honest, though, I think the Kaiju universe, the MonsterVerse, has really, I think, opened up the doorway for making these franchises again where monsters meet. It's literally like being in the 30s and 40s again, where monsters who've been created or have been awakened are meeting and clashing, and I think it's a good way to turn, because for the past 10 maybe 13 years we've been stuck on superheroes. I don't have a problem with that. I like some superheroes. I love Batman. I love Deadpool. I love Wolverine. Logan has ended famously. I could live with that and The Dark Knight. Those two series for me are in Deadpool. The Man of Steel was really good. To me, those are the key pieces of, and the Avengers and Iron Man. To me personally, those were the key pieces of the superhero genre that I've accepted. Now I want to move on to something new. The Kaijuverse, which is what I'm going to keep calling it because it just sounds better to me, that coming back was, to me, a sign of a new age. You had Pacific Rim, which was its own thing, which was new, and that's good. But more about the actual Mummy movie. That was just me fangirling over how this new Universal thing is going to happen. But the movie was interesting. Now, Tom Cruise's character, Nick Morton, he is like Indiana Jones mixed with Han Solo, just not any of the charm. I'm not gonna lie about that. He's a bit of a scoundrel. He's in the military, and he's stationed in Iraq, the cradle of civilization. But as a side job, him and his buddies sneak out and go and loot treasure and then sell it on the black market. Now, he has no tact. He's just, he's like a regular person. He's not anything special, and I think they tried to emphasize that. Personally, I think they try to emphasize it a little too much, but it works for what it is. He's like a normal person. He's like if you took someone from the audience and put them in this situation, a good amount of people, if they had the courage, would probably do stuff like that. It's just how people are. Some people, anyways. And I highly doubt, he's really that terrible of a character. I mean, he's not amazing, but he isn't terrible. The beginning of the movie is really unique. And, yes, spoilers. The beginning of the movie is unique for the fact that, it intros with us finding this ancient thing in Mesopotamia and learning the story and seeing how the curse works. Now, usually, when it comes to curses in these movies, someone dies or something happens, but in this, it evolves the curse. It shows us more. We see how it messes with his mind. It twists it. In one scene, he's driving away from her when she first really gets spawned, and he's arguing with the other woman, the other main character, and they're arguing and arguing. He ended up driving right back to her without knowing it. She was in his head. He's supposed to be a vessel for the god of death in Egypt. And yes, spoiler territory. So, it was really, like, the story itself felt like it was unfolded sometimes a little fast, but it wasn't deathly slow. It was never deathly slow. There was always one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. There was always something. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with stuff going a little fast. And, the introduction of this new organization is a lot like Monarch for the Kaijuverse. So, Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, beautiful. Loved the performance. It was a really good performance. And his character, you can tell, really seems out of sorts. Even as Jekyll, who's supposed to be the like one, the fact that Hyde has been there so long is affecting his mentality, and you can see it slightly, like little twitches and bugs, and like just how it affects his system. And I don't think that, they added a decent amount of comedy, not like a huge amount. This isn't a comedy horror, but it has a good amount of comedy in it, I think, to make up for some things that they messed up, I'm guessing. Nick's character is very sarcastic. He always is. You're not really going to usually find him in a non-sarcastic way until the end. A lot of that is, I think they were trying to make an immature character and let him grow throughout the course of the movie. Now, that's been done before, but with Nick, it's so emphasized. He starts out so immature from the beginning of the movie, and a good amount through it. But eventually he comes to realize that when you don't, stick to what you stand for, if you don't stand for anything, and if you just do things, you'll lose people. Things will happen. It's a sad realization, and it's a story of sacrifice. The MonsterVerse is always going to be a story of sacrifice, like Dracula Untold. That's just how it's always going to play out. And I don't have a problem with that. I think the idea of sacrifice, which Jekyll emphasizes highly, is very important to the MonsterVerse. You got to look at it. Not Imhotep, I can't remember, the original, if it is him, the original mummy from the 20s had to make a sacrifice. The one from the 90s had to be sacrificed. Dracula, once he lost his love, sacrificed himself because of his hatred for God and wanting to find a way to bring his love back or to find her again in a rebirth. It's just a lot of the monsters who have depth sacrifice things. Jekyll wanted to find a cure for evil and intent and see if you could tame it. And he sacrificed his own mentality, his own mental state, for that purpose. It's the same thing with The Invisible Man, which I've heard we're going to get a rendition of that with Johnny Depp. That's all rumor, but it would be interesting. And it really comes down to, this is a decent movie. I don't think it's Class A. I think a lot of stuff that's going to be produced now is not Class A because of how people pick up things. No one cares long enough to hear this long story with deep plot. It's like people are kind of being kids again, It's like when Prometheus came out, it had this deep, in-depth story, and it was so amazing. But you had all these people crying about how it didn't even have a xenomorph in it. But that wasn't the story. At the end of the day, it's a good story, it's a good movie, and I really appreciate it. It pulls everything out well. And it even makes a character that you end up liking. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I like it. Now, I'm not going to like it. And now, if you're disappointed that I didn't explain step by step what the movie is, I don't do that. I give off little key bits and details and stuff and talk about my experience and what I think about it. The mummy herself was amazing. She was, she was supposed to be seductive, creepy, weird, evil, perfect, fit all of that perfectly, beautifully, and even crazy. She didn't overdo it. And I think she has a really good acting career in the MonsterVerse if she ever stays, if she ever does anything like that again, which to me, I think it's possible. So, yeah, I really appreciate this movie in a way, and I hope more come. Like, it really seems like it'll be something really good. Now, I do have a talk about Easter eggs. Two very clear Easter eggs that I saw with me scouting out for it was spoilers. If you don't want to hear about the Easter eggs, especially because they might be hinting at future films, go away. You saw a hand in a jar. Now you're good. Now Peridigium, I can't say the name fully. They have a bunch of like ancient sea monsters and stuff like that embalmed or stuff like that, and it's like a museum for monsters. And in one is the hand of a fish-like monster, humanoid monster, which to me is obviously the creature from the Black Lagoon. Bleh. It's its hand, and it's in a jar. And I'm like, they must be hinting at something. I was like, oh, that's cool. But what they did show that got me is that they showed the skull of a vampire in a jar, and that was really cool. I hope that they bring back the guy who did it in Dracula Untold. I hope it gets connected. I think it should. So I want you guys to tell me if you saw The Mummy, what you think. If you're planning on seeing it, what you think. If you don't like it, tell me what you think. If you think that they should bring back Dracula Untold into the fold, tell me what monster should be next out of this. Who should play the main character, stuff like that. I want to know what you guys think for this Dark Universe, which, by the way, had a beautiful opening credit scene after the Universal. So I think they're really trying to get into this. Tell me your guys' thoughts. I'm going to be doing more movie reviews, and, it's just really fun to do. So, The Mummy, at the end of the day, I'll give it a 8.5 out of 10. The reason being, it is a little rushed. Character development is kind of at times, but overall, it has a good sense of comedy in some parts. It has good action, good design, and overall, it has a decent story. I like the story. And the CGI is pretty good too, and the mummy design is amazing as well. So guys, I really hope you like this. Like, comment, subscribe if you want. Wolven Dimension signing off. See you guys at the next movie review. Bye.